This is California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined by John McMahon. He is the sheriff for San Bernardino County. And so I want to speak with you about Prop 47.
Yes.
Passed in November, pretty big margin, 60% of the vote almost. Your county, actually, it lost by a slight margin.
Right.
Reclassifies certain offenses from felonies to misdemeanors, drug possession, petty theft, possession of stolen goods, etc. How's the proposition's impact been for San Bernardino County?
Well, it's been significant. You know, it's a drastic change in the way our officers operate on the street. You know, historically, we were able to arrest somebody. Petty theft with a prior was a felony.
Right.
Possession of stolen property was a felony. Our deputy sheriffs could take somebody right to jail and book them. Now, with the change as a result of Prop 47, they're all misdemeanors. And we saw a significant drop in the number of bookings the first 30 days after the passing of this bill. 40% drop in the number of bookings.
Is that necessarily bad? And the reason I ask you that is, as you know, California is under Supreme Court order to decrease the size of its prison population. As a result of that order, we have realignment, which sends lower level offenders to the counties. And the counties' populations have been exploding. So, you know, query whether these lower level offenders should be booked when you have the offenders with more serious offenses in county being released early prior to the passage of 47.
Right, and we've talked before about the impact of AB 109 and on our sentenced population and pre-sentence population.
Right.
And we were releasing people up to a year early on their sentences. Now, as a result of Prop 47, the decrease in our pre-sentence population has allowed us to keep those that are sentenced to the completion of their sentence.
That is very significant news, and I think it's a consequence even the opponents of 47 may not have realized. I mean, I was reading that in LA County, as an example, those that were charged with burglary, theft, and DUI prior to 47 were serving about 10 to 20% of their time.
Right.
Now they're serving 90%. Those charged with child molestation, assault with a deadly weapon, were serving 40% of their time. Now 100% of their time. You know, to the average Californian, that sounds like good news.
It is good news, because ultimately our goal is to drive down recidivism. We don't want these folks to come back to jail. So if we can keep them in jail for the length of their sentence and deliver those programs to them, whether it be AA or NA or life skills or fire camps, whatever it might be, to help change their behavior so they don't come back to jail, ultimately that's our goal.
I want to talk about two things you just mentioned: drug court and fire camps. Let's start with drug court. Drug court has been seen as a very successful program.
Yes.
But as I understand it, many individuals who were charged with drug offenses needed to be convinced to participate in drug court. And how were they convinced? Threat of a felony.
Correct.
Now, with possession being downgraded to a misdemeanor, we know the numbers speak loudly that those that are agreeing to go to drug court have dropped dramatically, 70, 80%. So that's an unintended consequence that maybe has not been so positive.
Yes, and in conversations with our judicial partners, the DA and the judges, they have seen a significant drop in the number of participants because there is nothing to hold over their head to convince them they need to participate in drug court.
What I'm wondering, though, is it time for counties or the state to reclassify those that should be able to participate in drug court? Because, as we know, it's a pretty high bar. I mean, not many crimes classify. You know, should we look at, low-grade drug dealers? Should they be able to divert into drug court when before they wouldn't?
That may be the direction we need to go to keep the participation level where it needs to be. And if somebody's selling drugs to feed their habit, ultimately that's what drug court's designed for, is to break that cycle.
And consider, sir, I mean, many burglaries. I mean, why are they burglarizing? To get money for drugs.
Sure.
And so those crimes, I don't believe, had been classified as eligible for drug court. You know, if you are able to determine that this was really about addiction, what about putting those people into programs, which I understand are wildly successful?
They are. Drug court is really, really successful. I still am a firm believer, and there needs to be consequences for bad behavior. And in our county, we've actually asked those folks that are arresting individuals on the street, continue to book them. Get new photographs, new fingerprints, and there is some consequences for the behavior.
Sure.
And then we'll site release them once they're through the process.
I want to talk about fire camp.
Yes.
That is a program in which San Bernardino has every reason to be proud.
Yes.
We've spoken about it before, and I know it has likewise been wildly successful. For our viewers who are not familiar with fire camps, fire crews, tell us about them.
Well, as a result of AB 109, we had the opportunity to send our inmates to the state to participate in the traditional fire camps that you see with CAL FIRE and CDCR. We chose to keep the inmates in-house, partner with our own county fire department, create a facility outside of our Glen Helen sentence facility for the inmates to live, and they're actually being taught life skills, working as a team, hard work, and they're really making a difference. They're fighting fires, they're sandbagging and flooding incidents, they're helping with chipping of downed trees, a variety of things that not only benefit them, but the public as well.
I can only imagine what participation in a program like this does to the self-esteem of these individuals. I mean, I want to participate. It just sounds like you're out with nature, you're making it matter, you're participating. What do you hear? What do you see with these individuals?
Oh, I can tell you because I do visit them.
Right.
And our numbers are up over 60 now in the program, and we're headed to 100.
I know that.
And I talk to these inmates, and they will tell you that they've been in jail off and on all of their life. And this is the kind of program that really makes a difference for them. For some of them, nobody has ever told them, thank you, appreciate what you do. You really made a difference. And for those of us that live in wildland fire areas, when a fire crew, even of inmates, comes through, you're so thankful for what they've done for you. And for the citizens to come out and thank those guys, bring them baked goods, and tell them we really appreciate it, that makes all the difference in the world.
So some folks have expressed concern that with Prop 47, there will be a smaller pool from which to pull, because the reality is, in order to participate in the fire crew program, you do need to have a kind of longer sentence. And your crime needs to be nonviolent.
Correct.
And so are you seeing that the pool with which to pull potential participants is dropping?
And we haven't seen that. As a matter of fact, the good thing for us is we talked before, the number of sentenced inmates staying for their entire sentence has jumped drastically as a result of Prop 47.
Got it.
So we have a larger pool to choose from. Those that we historically have released maybe up to a year early, we're now keeping. So those folks are all eligible for fire camp.
I want to get a sense from you, as long as we're on this subject, about what happens to these individuals once they graduate. I have to think that they possess skills very specific to firefighting that are so unique that I would hate to see them go to waste. Sure, the skills are transferable, the life skills generally. But it seems to me, sir, if our county, your county, has invested this much time, money, and effort in these men and women, men, women too? Men, and in these men, it'd be great for them to be hired.
Sure.
I mean, can they be hired by San Bernardino County Fire, or would it be CAL FIRE? How does that work?
Yes, they can. There's opportunities outside of the state with contractors, the federal agencies. But in our county, we are in the process of hiring 3 of the former inmates to be county fire employees.
And they are not excluded because they have a record?
No, there's a way that you can go through the legal process to get felonies reduced to misdemeanors.
And some of that is through Prop 47.
True.
Because of the retroactive nature of that. But aside from that element.
Working with the public defender's office and the DA's office and through the court system, there's a way to get those felonies reduced to misdemeanors, which then makes them eligible to become county fire employees.
When you admit someone into the program, do you look to see if they may be eligible for that reduction so that you could hire them later?
Certainly that's a consideration. We look at their entire background because we want to pick folks that are going to be successful and aren't going to be a problem for the program as we move forward.
And the great news is, as we speak today, I understand that 2 individuals have been hired by the U.S. Forest Service.
Yes.
Life-changing.
Absolutely.
And I hope to hear that 3 will be hired by San Bernardino Fire.
Correct.
And in a future episode, I hope to speak to one of those graduates.
Yes.
I think it would be really unique and special. His name is Gean McMahon. He is the sheriff for San Bernardino County. My name is Brad Pomerance, and you are watching California Edition.